Hello everyone, my name is Laura Powell Haney. I am a recent graduate of Meadville Lombard Theological School, and I am your worship leader for this particular worship for May 21st, 2020. May 31st, 2020. Time is getting away from me. I wanted to introduce you to our theme today. Our title is On the Threshold of Summer. I'm a Unitarian Universalist, but I also identify as a pagan, someone who practices earth-based spirituality. I wanted to offer something today more seasonally focused. It's a little difficult right now with time, as I said. What day is it anymore? But we might be able to count on seasons. So I thought May 31st falls between two major holidays on the Celtic calendar. Beltane, typically celebrated on May 1st, and Litha, or summer solstice, around June 20th, 21st. So I thought this might be a chance for us to explore some ideas around preparing for the longest day that is the summer solstice. And with that in mind, I'd like to cast our circle, set our sacred space with a chant by the artist Kellyanna. I'll sing this through 3 times, so you should be able to catch at least the tune of it, and feel free to join in once you do. And humming is just fine. There is no time but now. There is no place but here. In the sacred we do stand, in a circle hand in hand. There is no time but now. There is no place but here. In the sacred we do stand, in a circle hand in hand. There is no time but now. There is no place but here. In the sacred we do stand, in a circle hand in hand. Our circle is cast. We are in sacred space. Light our chalice for the fire of commitment, for celebration of the growing light of the sun, and for the warmth of companionship, even as we are physically apart. Let your own light shine. I have a story for you this morning, so circle round. Let's get ready. It starts with a seed from our beautiful little dish of seeds. Let's see if I can pick just one. It is very tiny. I'm going to hold that up to the camera. Can you see it? A tiny, tiny seed. This happens to be a seed for a sunflower. When you think about sunflowers, they can grow pretty tall. Some of them 12 feet tall on the stalks, and they would have the head as big as mine, bigger than that, this big, with thousands and thousands more seeds that feed the birds and then become more sunflowers. So I'd like to invite you now to be that seed. Can you scrunch down? Really small. Nope, smaller. Scrunch right down. And imagine that you are deep under the earth. And by deep, I mean not so far down that you feel the heat of the center of the core of the earth, but deep, like the hand span deep. Deep enough that you are covered by the dark earth. Maybe the sun isn't coming down on you right now because it's not that season. Perhaps it's winter and maybe it's cold. Do you feel it? We don't know. But somehow seeds understand the temperature difference. At least they're wired for that. So in your tiny seed nest, just rest in the dark and the cold. Perhaps there's some snow and then some rain. And then gradually, something is different. More light from above, maybe a little more warmth. You start to stir just a little bit, pushing against that outer shell of seedness. Something is happening inside. You feel maybe one little root that might be your foot stretching out just a little bit. And as more light comes and a little more heat, maybe that other foot, the other root, stretches out a little bit more. And maybe the stalk, what will be the stalk, starts stirring just a little bit. You can open up a little bit more. And maybe now there's more light and more heat outside, but mostly more light. So you can start stretching a little bit more, sending those roots down right now. Holding on to the stalks, the stems. Let those roots get down deep, maybe even deeper than your seed self. Maybe there's even some movement of the earth because there goes an earthworm. Ooh, there's a little more space. That feels good. And now there's more light and a little bit more rain, maybe a lot more rain. You can start sending up those stalks, those stems, right out of the earth, up into the light. I'm blocking my own light. Can you feel that? As the heat grows and the light grows, so do you, and your roots are still going down deep, and they start pulling in a little more and a little more nutrients from the soil. Good soil, I'm sure. Right? We've tended to that. Somebody did anyway. We'll keep growing up. Can you keep growing up? You have a lot of growing to do, by the way, as a sunflower. So keep at it. Up and up. Maybe here comes the head of that sunflower, the flower part, opening out. Standing tall. Are you really tall now? Tall as tall can be, with your face turning toward the sunshine. And the coolest thing about sunflowers is their faces follow the sun. Sort of like people do if you think about it. Oh, that felt good. Coming up out of the ground, tall and tall and tall as a sunflower, blooming where you are planted. And we'll grow there for a while with our faces toward the sun. And then what happens? Well, birds come along and have some of those sunflower seeds from our faces. And they drop some because that's what happens with birds. And guess what? Maybe they get covered up with a little more soil. Just a little. And they wait in the dark for the light to come back again. Thank you. Oh, always like that. It's a cycle as ancient as time. Perhaps it just needed some attention to become a cycle. You think about how our ancestors so long ago knew those cycles, paid attention to them, and honored them. Which reminds me of another chant. Ancient Mother. Again, I'll sing it 3 times. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your voice. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your voice. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your voice. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. It's hard to believe with the spring that we've had in just 3 short weeks. June 20th or 21st or so. By our modern calendar, it's it's not so precise. By our modern calendar, those of us here in the Northern Hemisphere will witness the longest day, the summer solstice, when daylight outreaches darkness. This is a balancing of the longest night, 6 months past, on the winter solstice, December 20th, 21st. I sometimes feel that the summer solstice, which has no corresponding big holiday in the Christian tradition as the winter solstice does, Christmas, might get neglected as a time to pause, to celebrate, to reassess. So I would invite you to prepare for the coming longest day as you might prepare for the longest night, a time of coming into being, of Advent, of looking forward and preparing yourself. I suggest this not as attempting to make something up that doesn't exist already, but as a way, a healing, a grounding, or a centering practice. The world is 3 months or more into a time when nothing seems certain except uncertainty, when assumptions of normal are trampled, when the future seems unknowable at all. I can't even make plans right now sometimes. There is no time but now to slow down and pay attention to what remains, what is constant, always. Let's begin this by setting a frame for the next 3 weeks and then explore some practices leading to a celebration perhaps you can create for yourself. This is the declaration of 4 sacred things as our frame from Starhawk's novel, The Fifth Sacred Thing. Starhawk is a neo-pagan, longtime leader in the pagan community on the West Coast, but also an earth activist and environmental activist. Again, this is from her novel, The Fifth Sacred Thing. The earth is a living, conscious being. In company with cultures of many different times and places, we name these things as sacred: air, fire, water, and earth. Whether we see them as the breath, energy, blood, and body of the mother, or as the blessed gifts of a creator, or as symbols of the interconnected systems that sustain life, we know that nothing can live without them. To call these things sacred is to say that they have a value beyond their usefulness for human ends, that they themselves become the standards by which our acts, our economics, our laws, and our purposes must be judged. No one has the right to appropriate them or profit from them at the expense of others. Any government that fails to protect them forfeits its legitimacy. All people, all living things are part of the earth life, and so are sacred. No one of us stands higher or lower than any other. Only justice can assure balance. Only ecological balance can sustain freedom. Only in freedom can that fifth sacred thing we call spirit flourish in its full diversity. To honor the sacred is to create conditions in which nourishment, sustenance, habit, knowledge, freedom, and beauty can thrive. To honor the sacred is to make love possible. To this we dedicate our curiosity, our will, our courage, our silences, and our voices. To this we dedicate our lives. The Declaration of the Four Sacred Things by Starhawk. So I would invite you into 3 different practices over the coming weeks, so 1 week per practice. The first practice is to rest barefoot on the earth, or take a meditation ramble through an area you may simply stroll through sometimes, perambulate however you move through. Open your eyes and ears more widely in this week. This is a practice of awareness. A second practice, a week later. Once you have attuned yourself to a particular place, keep visiting. And this second week, leave a gift for the earth spirits of that place. Perhaps some fresh water, a drop of honey, a piece of fruit, or even a pretty cookie. What could you give back to this place? The third practice for the third week is to tend this piece of earth, not in a way that imposes human order. It doesn't need to be weeded per se, but in a way that honors the seasonal rhythms. Perhaps remove any trash that might have blown in or been dumped there, something that would cause harm. Perhaps keep invasive species of plants out. Maybe that's the weeding to do. Let it become its own sacred space. And then, at the end of those 3 weeks, on June 20th or 21st, celebrate. Rise with the sun on that particular morning. Create a spiritual retreat day for yourself. Offer some of a seasonal feast to the earth spirits in that special place you've been exploring more deeply. Fill your day with nature poetry, perhaps by our beloved Mary Oliver. Music, scents like lavender or other flowers, something seasonal. Roses might be good. And perhaps on this day, you can pledge yourself and offer a deeper commitment to environmental activism. Take this time and this place in the midst of a crisis where perhaps in the future we can do things differently, and see your way forward in that. And when your day of celebration and spiritual renewal is done, when the sun on this longest day has finally set, rest in the short dark night as the circle continues round and round again. And rise the next day when the light is just a little bit less, just a little, and visit that special place again with your new eyes, your new ears, your new awareness of what might be there beyond what you can physically be aware of. I know I'm ready. I have a backyard per se, and I've been spending time with more time at home here, seeing what's there that maybe I didn't notice before. Spending more time sitting outside reading when it's not raining. I hope you can engage in some of these practices if you don't already. And if you do, go into them with a deeper intent this time. Often when pagans, especially Unitarian Universalist pagans, talk about magic, what we're talking about is intention and attention to the world around us in a deeper way. So I invite you into deeper intention around your daily walk, if you take one, your daily exploration of outside. I'll close this portion of our service with another chant. This one always gives me hope. I hope it will you as well. I'll sing it through 3 times. This is a chant from Reclaiming and Collective and various other groups too. When we are gone. When we are gone, they will remain. Wind and rock, fire and rain, they will remain when we return. The wind will blow and the fire will burn. When we are gone, they will remain. Wind and rock, fire and rain, they will remain till we return. The wind will blow and the fire will burn. When we are gone, they will remain. Wind and rock, fire and rain, they will remain when we return. The wind will blow and the fire will burn. So mote it be. Take a moment here and recognize those things where sometimes it's hard to find a joy in the midst of sorrow. We'll hold up the essential workers amongst us, who we may interact with, who we may rely on very much right now to be companions with people we may not be able to be companions with at the moment. We lift up those people who are now so essential to us we may have overlooked before. The people who ring up our groceries, who bring them to us. The people who take our garbage away. May we have less of it. The people who collect those things. Light a candle. I'm going to have to get another candle. Pardon me while I reach. There we go. Always have another candle. Light a candle from our chalice. For those essential workers. We'll light a candle for the joys that we still find because life continues. And a candle for the sorrows they will remain too. Joys and sorrows and the somewhat in between. Thank you for joining us here today. I hope you will engage in some of these practices, honoring the fifth sacred thing, as well as the other four: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Blessed be. We'll leave you with music from friends of mine, a band called Kindred Crow, and their song about Litha. Please know if you have joys or sorrows, need to talk, you can contact Reverend Sue Browning with the information that follows via their website or via phone for Chester River or Easton communities. Thank you so much. Blessed be.